Hi, this is a quick introductory video into Tinkercad. Now, Tinkercad is one of my favorite programs out there for 3D design. It's one of the first ones I learned, and it has led me to expanding my knowledge hugely because it is so simple to use. So, here's what you're going to do. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to sign in. So you can either join now, and if you have a teacher who's giving you a class, then you're going to use these two buttons. If you're not, if you're just doing this for a personal reason, you can create your own personal account. And with that, once you've created your own personal account, you can either use Google to sign in, or Microsoft, or Facebook, or you can sign up with any email. If you're not of age, make sure you have your parents' permission before you do this. Okay? So I'm going to sign in with Google because I like to keep things simple. Once you've signed in, you're going to get this option that says create new design. So you're going to create a new design. Some of you will be given a tutorial video to do, and that's perfectly fine. You can do the tutorial. I'm going to go through and give you my own tutorial anyway. So I'm going to hit create new design. And here we go. I've got this flat panel here. Now what I'm not showing you is that the mouse buttons that I'm going to be using. So first thing you need to know is the left mouse button, the primary one, the one that you click on the most, is the one that drags and drops items. So you can click and hold and drag something over here. Now the right mouse button, the one on the far right side, if you click and hold, it allows you to rotate around that object. It's really cool. So you can sit there and rotate around the object. The middle mouse button, if you look on your mouse, you're going to see this thing called a scroll wheel. And if you roll it up and down, you can zoom in and zoom out. But if you click and hold it straight on, you get to do what's called panning. And panning means you can move the object left and right and up and down. And if that's all confusing, there are also ways to manipulate it right here on the left side here. And if you get lost and you don't know what's going on, press the home button and it will send you right back to where you started. Now, here's what we can do in Tinkercad, what makes it so awesome. So I can actually click this corner here, and just like any 2D program, I can drag and make my rectangle bigger or smaller. I can flip it this way or that way. So I can do that with all the corners and even the sides. What I can also do, which makes this different than other programs, is I can actually click this little square here on the top and make my object taller or shorter. And then if I want to lift my object up into the air, I grab this black cone. The black cone raises and lowers the object. So I grab the black cone and I can lift the object and lower the object. It's super cool. Now, if I want to rotate my object, you're going to see that there's this little rotational point here. So what I can do with that rotational point is I can grab it, I click and I hold. I hold onto it and I can rotate my object. Now, if I keep holding and I drag outside of the circle, then I can make smaller changes. So if I click and hold inside the circle, big changes. Outside the circle, small changes. Now, that's to rotate this way. The way to rotate it in different angles is if you take a look, if I look here, I've got a rotational point here. If I look here, I got a rotational point here. And if I turn it over to this side, I've got a rotational point here. They all rotate it in different, using different points. So next, we're going to fix this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you something a little more advanced, but it's so useful that it's just awesome. So we're going to cut this object. So how we cut is we're going to get this box over here, and you can see this one has lines. That's because we've turned it into a hole. Now a hole is basically how we chop into things. So I'm going to make it taller, and then I'm going to make it almost the same size as my block here, making sure that you can see it's actually inside of there. Okay, it's not on top, it's inside of the other object. Okay, so then what I can do is I click away and I can hold shift and select both objects so that they're both highlighted. You can see there's a blue, if you look really closely, there's a blue line around the red cube and there's a blue line around the hole. Also, if I want to, I can take my mouse, left click, drag a box over both objects. And that was, see, again, you get both blue lines. And when that happens, you can see over here there's this button that lights up called Group. So I click on that button and chunk, I've taken a chunk out of my rectangle, which is really useful if I want to create something like a house. So instead of building out of 100 blocks, I make a big block and chop the middle out. So now I'm going to put a roof on it. So again, I put the roof there, I raise it using the black cone, and I make the roof bigger. And I can make it almost the same size as the whole thing. But you can see you have to be very careful to look at the different angles and then drop it down. So there I've got my roof. Now, let's say I want to make a door. Well, I just do the same thing I just did. So I drag it in front. Again, I make sure that it's through the object I'm cutting. Highlight both objects. I'm going to use Shift, so I'm going to hold Shift, click on the red part, click on the hole, and again, group. Chunk. Now I've got a door. So what you can do is there's so many different things. Look through the basic shapes. You can use all the basic shapes. There's also text and numbers, characters, connectors. Go play with every button you can possibly find and figure out what it does. Because there are so many cool things that this program can do. And I highly recommend, like, press buttons. Look, I'm going to press blocks. And it turns it into a Minecraft blocks. I can press Lego and it turns into Lego. There are so many cool things you can do. Again, play with it. Have fun. Try it out. And then once you get comfortable, then I'll sit there, I'll show you some more complex things on what to do. Okay, thanks for watching.